Hello, I'm Catherine. Welcome back to my garden in Oxfordshire. I'm going to talk about my greenhouse and how I can fit so many plants in it. And I thought I'd give you a little test. I'll give you a good tour and then you can have a guess to see how many plants I've managed to squeeze in. It's not completely full either. So I'll tell you at the end, see if you're anywhere close. So the first thing you see when you go into the greenhouse is I have my potting station on the right here, and that's where, unless I'm doing things on the floor, that's where I do most of my potting on. It gets a bit cluttered because there's so much stuff you need, all the labels and whatnot. So it's a constant battle to try and keep it clear. And I have a sprayer there, my little watering can that I like to use on the more delicate things, and essential radio, which I tend to have on most of the time when I'm pottering around. And then this chair, let me show you this chair. So you might think it's not really very crucial what sort of chair you have in a greenhouse, but this is so useful. It's an old office chair that's seen better days. It's got a bit rusty, and it's great because I often end up with a lot of stuff on the floor when I'm potting on, and this doesn't take up any more room, so I can just swivel round and get to everything I need. And if the floor is clearer, I can wheel myself up and down. But I have to say, it's not usually as tidy as it is now. I usually have more clutter on the floor, so that doesn't happen. But being able to swivel round is very useful and quite fun. And then this is my main area of staging. I've got 2 heat mats. I'm lucky I've got an electricity point at the end here. So I've got 2 heat mats. Well, I've only got this one at this end on at the moment with capillary matting over the top, but this is where I start off my seedlings. I'm getting pretty much towards the end of germinating now, and then as I pop them on, I move them over here. And the good thing, there's several good things about the heat mats. Not only do they obviously help start off your seedlings, and you've got a thermostat so you can adjust it, but I find there's just enough heat ticking over in the whole of the greenhouse. I do fleece things when it's really cold, but I haven't lost anything, and I think it's because the heat from here gives just enough background heat for everything else. I also have a shelf below, and normally that's what I use for my storage, although I try not to have too much in here because you probably know that if you keep too many old pots and things, you can get slugs and snails, especially those little really baby ones that you don't notice, and then they come and munch away. See, I've had a little bit of munching, so there must be 1 or 2 here. But I've had to rearrange because it's dahlia season, dahlia bringing on season. I'll bring you in to show you that. So you can see, I'll tell you, I'm not going to tell you the full total now, but the total, I've got about 40 dahlias in here because these big ones have got 3 in, and you can see how they're just starting to shoot, which is very exciting. So they've just been potted up. They don't need loads of light, which is why I found they've been okay. I did this last year and it was fine. And again, I haven't stuck to my own rules here because I've got quite a lot of round containers because I don't have so many of the large square ones. But you can see how square ones are better because you can just fit more in. But I think that's pretty good going to be able to fit 40 in there. The sun's going in and out today, so sorry if the light keeps changing. This is the corner where I keep my compost. I've got a bag, I keep a bag down there. I keep vermiculite and perlite in these 2 boxes. I like to keep things in square containers just because you can fit them more easily. It's a more efficient shape. And I keep my vermiculite and perlite in these, my compost in here, and I mix those up together in this tub trug for when I'm doing general potting on. Here is where I keep my soil blocking mixture. So I've got the mixture ready, pre-wetted there, and then when I actually make it up, I tend to do it in this bowl here. So here's some that's a bit damp. It's good because you can, it doesn't matter if it dries out, you just re-wet it when you next come to do your soil blocking. And then they're sitting on a tank of water, which actually hasn't got anything in it at the moment, but I use that in the summer to water my tomato plants. And I've got, let me show you, I'll have to move you around. I might be able to get a lot of plants in here. It's quite hard to fit a camera and a tripod in here, but I'm having a go. This is an automatic watering system, so you have your tank filled up and a little pipe going to each of these trays. So I've got 3 here, and they've each got 2 good size planters. Again, I like them because they're square, so I use these for my tomatoes in the summer and for my ranunculus and anemones over winter. They don't need to be on an automatic watering system, but it's a good place to keep them because they're out of the way of the rest of the greenhouse. And I've got 3 ranunculus in each one. I did have some more. I've got some other pots that come from the same set, so I can change them around if I like, but I took those out of the greenhouse. So I've got 5 similar pots to these, and it means they'll flower a little bit later, so it's all about timing. So I've got these ones just flowering now, and the other ones will flower in a couple of weeks or so. And then above I've got a frame for a shelf here, and this works in 2 ways. I could put a tray on now and fit more seedlings in, so I've still got some that are quite small, so if I need more room I can put a tray there. I don't really like to when I'm growing the ranunculus because it does block the light a bit, but if I'm desperate I've got that extra space, and it's quite good when I haven't got a shelf on it because I can use it for the tomatoes to grow through to give them more of a framework. At the end here I've got this wooden staging which folds up when I'm not using it, and I only brought this back into the greenhouse 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's, again, I can use it for when I want extra room. So that's got 2 shelves and is quite slim, so it doesn't take up too much room in the greenhouse. And then you might be able to see above it I've managed to fit a shelf in, and I've got these all the way around. And these work, as you can see, they've got these hooks that are quite easy to attach to the regular fittings that you get on greenhouses. Now, there's a caveat here. When I chose this greenhouse, I was very conscious that it could be seen from the house because my garden's all in the front of the house. So I wanted one that kind of looked attractive as well as being functional. And I think I didn't really think it through, so I chose one with this curved shape, which does look very nice. I do like the way it looks, but it's not quite so easy for fixing things to. For instance, I can't put any guttering on the outside and have a water butt, so that's really annoying. Also, it makes it quite tricky because I've only got these upright places where I can attach things to. If you've got a more normal greenhouse that has, you know, straight sides, you should get the horizontal ones with these channels as well. Let me just show you here. So these channels are where you can put these fixings in and attach them to. But despite that, I've managed to kind of fudge it. The hooks, I mean, if I have to be careful because some of them aren't particular. You see that, you know, that one's moved and it's not holding it up. It's just being held by this one here, but it seems to be doing the trick. And I try, you know, I don't put anything really heavy on these because they're a little bit delicate. Another good tip is to have a cold frame as well, so things that are getting towards being ready to put in the garden, you can take them into there. So that's a useful thing to do as well. A cold frame just outside the greenhouse, and obviously this time of year it's kind of musical chairs, isn't it, because you're always moving things on. So I've got things in here that can definitely go out, like some of these snapdragons. Those ones are Madam Butterfly. I've got a lot of snapdragons this year because I made cuttings from all the pinchings, and these are all things that are pretty much close to going into the garden. Oh yeah, and I nearly forgot to say that the number, I wrote it down, I counted up all the plants, and there's a grand total of 420 plants in here, so I don't think that's bad for a small greenhouse. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing inside my greenhouse. If you want to know what any of the plants are, I could do a little tour, so just say in the comments if you're interested. And thank you for watching. If you could like or subscribe, that would be great, and I'll see you next time.